Fans of bad teams unite. The season might not be going your way, but that's okay because that means you can turn to draft content. And today I'm giving you a top 10 mock draft. Some teams have won, some teams have lost, and that means the draft order is constantly changing, unless, of course, you're the winless New York Jets. But that will change what players go in what order and bring up different scenarios. Think of this like an introduction to the best draft prospects that you need to know about. There's not going to be any trades at this early time. There will be some projection of need and, of course, projection of talent with these prospects because college football is still going on, and college football right now is absolutely crazy. Some prospects' draft stock is rising, others are absolutely tanking. This is a mostly what I would do draft, but it will also be interesting to think about what the teams would do in that scenario. Make sure you leave a like and leave a comment. It's a free and quick and easy way to support the channel, pushes this video out to other draft addicts, and make sure you subscribe to not miss out on another video. The NFL draft content has well and truly started, and it is not going to stop now until a few weeks after the NFL draft. If you don't want to miss a single video, make sure you subscribe right now. And we're going to start with the winless New York Jets, very fittingly. They are a horrible, horrible, horrible team. The only winless team. I unfortunately had the unpleasant experience of having to see this team live against the Broncos at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday. And let me tell you, Justin Fields in person is just as bad, if not worse, as Justin Fields on tape. He had 45 passing yards. He was sacked 9 times. And on those 9 times, he held the ball on average for 3.95 seconds. Do I need to say any more? It is so over for Justin Fields. It has never been more over. This pick has to be quarterback, frankly. Yes, Aaron Glenn is a new hire. He should have job security. But when a team is playing this badly, and when I think a team looks this badly coached, for example, the Jets had a fake punt on 4th and 1 before the end of the second half against the Broncos. They had their entire starting offensive line and Breece Hall on the field, so it was the most obvious fake punt ever. And then after they converted that fake punt in their own territory, they then decided to let the clock run out. And Garrett Wilson, I don't know if you could see it on the broadcast, it's not quite on tape, he went off to the sideline and he was absolutely furious. They were getting booed in the stadium. It was a terrible showing. And I think that Aaron Glenn, therefore, is firmly in the hot seat. And rightly so, dare I say. I think he cannot kick this quarterback can down the road. He needs to have results next year and have them pretty quickly. Who is the answer then to the New York Jets' woes? In my opinion, the best quarterback right now in college football that is draft eligible is Fernando Mendoza from Indiana. He has that dog in him. He will make a throw with a defender in his grill. He has so much of the intangibles that I think you look for a quarterback. Look at the success that Baker Mayfield is having right now. The king of the intangibles at the quarterback position. How bad do you want it is the mentality that I think you need your quarterback to have, especially for a team like the Jets, a team that has been constantly downtrodden, constantly bad, never terrible, but never very good either, at least in kind of my fandom lifetime. And I think that Fernando Mendoza has shown that he has that mentality. He threw a pick 6 against Oregon, a huge win for Indiana and for Fernando Mendoza. He threw a pick 6, which almost let Oregon back in this game. And then he responded with a touchdown drive. And that's what you want from your quarterback. Yes, they're going to make mistakes. Yes, they're going to throw turnovers. Yes, they're going to throw pick 6s. But with Fernando Mendoza responding like that at Eugene against a better ranked team in Oregon to throw a pick 6 and come back and then lead a touchdown drive to ultimately seal the game, that's what I want to see, a statement win. He's 6'5", 225 pounds. He's an NFL quarterback in every sense between the ears. He's got good arm talent, tough as nails, good at deciphering defenses. This simply has to be Fernando Mendoza right now, at least, and it definitely has to be a quarterback for the New York Jets. The Cleveland Browns are at 2, and the offensive tape against Pittsburgh last week was unwatchable, genuinely unwatchable. They have an offensive line which cannot block. Dylan Gabriel was pressured on 25 of his 52 dropbacks. When you're asking your third-round rookie quarterback to drop back 52 times against the Steelers' defense, something is going badly wrong, and not just in one place either. A lot of things are going very badly wrong. And when he's getting pressured on over half of those dropbacks, even more is going wrong. That's an absolute disaster. The tackles in Cleveland are awful. The Browns have just refused to improve year after year. I'm really not sure how. Quarterback is obviously a massive need for the Browns. Gabriel, I don't think is the guy. I think he's a career backup. Shedeur won't be either, especially with these tackles. My God, if you're a Shedeur fan and you want to see him succeed in the league, you do not want him playing behind this Browns offensive line for even a single snap. Let me guarantee you that. Dante Moore, I think, would be my QB2, but I don't think he's going to declare after the loss to Alabama. I think he still needs time. Lenora Sellers is a huge if at quarterback. I think he should go back to school. Honestly, he needs more time. Ty Simpson, the quarterback from Alabama, he's playing very well this year. He's making nice plays out of structure. But again, I think he could do with going back to school. And I think maybe all three of them will. Maybe Sellers won't because he will have kind of the better feedback from the league and from draft experts. But I think that Simpson and Dante Moore will ultimately return to school, which really thins out this quarterback crop at the top of the class, at least. It's a very deep quarterback class, but it is very, very far from top heavy. I would go offensive line here, actually, if I'm the Browns, but there is not an offensive lineman that I like. If we're looking at the offensive tackles, these guys have taken their licks this year. Spencer Fano was in my top 10. He is now no longer in my top 10. Jennings Dunker, people like him more in the interior. Francis Maragoa, people like him more on the interior. Caden Proctor, people like him more at guard. It was looking really strong preseason. It is now not looking strong at all. Fano is the only tackle that I would take inside this top 10. I'm not taking him at 2. He's not that kind of guy, at least not right now. So I am then going to go with the quarterback that I think can deal with the poor offensive line the best, and that is Lenora Sellers. He has a fantastic sack evasion potential. He has that kind of slight lowering of the shoulder. He's well built. He is 6'3", 240 pounds. He had that play against Bama where he used the ball to keep himself upright. He can get out of sacks from someone like Peter Woods of Clemson. He is the athlete that you crave at the quarterback position. However, he is also the quarterback that you kind of can only watch through your hands, essentially, because he can make amazing plays, but he can also make really bad ones. He's inaccurate at all 3 levels of the field, and that is including something like a hitch, where it's literally on his tape. You can go and watch it. I did a breakdown on my TikTok, where he sailed the ball massively over this receiver's head, and it got picked off by the outside corner. He threw it to the slot corner, threw it to his slot receiver. It got picked off by the outside cornerback. He is not accurate. He reminds me a lot of Anthony Richardson. Yes, he's more experienced. He'll have a whole other year of starting under his belt this year that Richardson did not have. So it's not a like for like, but in terms of being crazy athletic, having unbelievable potential, but also being very, very flawed fundamentally as a quarterback, that's why Sellers and Richardson have similarities for me in my mind. And I would take him here, but the way that I see Sellers is that he is still only a good NFL quarterback in theory, really a good college quarterback in theory. He's not put it together. However, their next 4 opponents, South Carolina, are against ranked opponents. So I think in a month's time, we're going to know exactly what Lenora Sellers is and if he's going to declare at all. The Baltimore Ravens, another loss to the Rams for the Ravens. This team is just lost without Lamar Jackson. I made this pick last week and I'm going to make it again. The Ravens need to have some juice at the pass rush position. They need to be better defensively, and there's no better pass rusher in this class, in my opinion, than Ruben Bain Jr. from Miami. He is the most dominant player in college football right now. 6'3", 275 pounds, 30 pressures, 3 sacks, a 29.9% pass rush win rate. He is explosive, he's quick, and he's powerful. If you could only have 3 things as an NFL pass rusher, it would be those 3. And power, really, is what you need in the NFL to succeed. Look at someone like Jared Verse. The Ravens need a dude. Ruben Bain Jr. is the biggest dude as a pass rusher in this class. They need a star wide receiver as well, don't get me wrong. But in this wide receiver class, you can get that later in the draft, 100%. The Dolphins, again, a team which I think is lost. This draft is not strong at the top, barring Ruben Bain Jr., I would say, and maybe Fernando Mendoza. There's quite a massive fall off. You kind of either want to be picking 1 or 2, or like 8 onwards, really. So there's going to be a lot of teams that kind of need a quarterback that are caught in this no man's land in this draft. And the Dolphins at the moment at 4 are one of those teams. They need a quarterback, they need an offensive line, but the value for either of those positions isn't really here right now. As I said, I'm not taking Caleb Lomu from Utah because I just don't think Caleb Lomu is his teammate at Utah. I'm not taking Spencer Fano right now because I don't think he's worth the 4th overall pick. At quarterback as well, I think that these guys will return to school, basically all of them, barring maybe Nussmeier. But look at these guys quickly, this quarterback class, right? Dante Moore, playing well, only 1 year starter. Ty Simpson playing well, 1 year starter. John Mateer playing well, had hand surgery, now not playing well. Garrett Nussmeier was potentially QB1 at one point, fallen off the cliff. Sam Levitt, never really a first round guy. Carson Beck, never really a first round guy. You're in real trouble if you need a quarterback and you're not either getting Mendoza or Sellers. And I think there's a big fall off from Mendoza to Sellers for what it's worth. I would take more, but I don't think he's going to declare, and I don't think he's really the answer either. I think you need someone. I think you need much more of a sure thing in Miami after Tua. You can't really back-to-back uncertain quarterbacks. I'm going to go then. I have Mekhi Lemon from USC as my wide receiver 1, but I'm going to go with Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver from Arizona State, at this position. He is playing like he could be the wide... Jordan Tyson is playing like he could be the wide receiver 1 in this class. He moves really well at 6'2", 210 pounds. He's put on weight this year, put on 15 pounds of muscle, and as a result, he's much better after the catch. He's already got 4.7 yards after the catch per reception this year. He's a really good separator, a great mover, even at that higher weight class, basically, from the weight he put on. He can make circus catches. I think he would pair really well with Jalen Waddle's speed as that kind of... receiver that can separate against press, against zone. He's a bit bigger bodied. He moves well at that size. I think that having Waddle as the wide receiver 1A and Jordan Tyson as the wide receiver 1B would work really nicely. Neither of those guys by themselves are a true wide receiver 1, but together they can kind of make up for that in the aggregate. And if we're thinking about quarterback for the Dolphins, I'm just going to say this. Drew Aller will probably be available as a UDFA pickup at this point from what he's seen. He's unfortunately injured. He won't put any more tape out there. I don't know if he's got any more years of eligibility. But that's what we're looking at with this quarterback class. It's really deep. If you want to get a bridge quarterback, you can get that. I am not drafting a bridge quarterback at 4 for the Dolphins. No way. The Saints, I am very, very happy to not draft a quarterback for the Saints this year. I think Spencer Rattler is looking more than promising. In fact, I think he's looking actually very good in a not so good situation. I think the coaching is good. I think the lack of offensive firepower is really clear. Kamara is not a spring chicken. Chris Olave is not a wide receiver 1. Shaheed is a better wide receiver 3. I would have liked Jordan Tyson here, actually, for the Saints to pair with Chris Olave. But instead, then I am going to go for my actual wide receiver 1, at least at the moment, in Mekhi Lemon. I think Mekhi Lemon right now is the best draft-eligible wide receiver. He has 682 yards through 6 weeks, so he's averaging over 100 yards a game. He's got 332 yards after the catch. That's 7.2 yards after the catch per reception. He's only got 1 drop this season. He's quick, he's shifty, he's surprisingly strong for his size, really good in contested catch situations against Illinois. And he's another weapon for Spencer Rattler. And I think Spencer Rattler needs that. If you have Olave as that kind of savvy separator, kind of very reliable in that regard. And then you've got Mekhi Lemon as that speedier, shiftier, can get the ball in his hands, can get yards after the catch, wide receiver 2 or 1B. And then you've got Shaheed as the speeds the gadget. That suddenly looks a hell of a lot better. And I think you'll get a lot more out of Spencer Rattler as a result. The Titans, they have just fired, as of yesterday, their head coach, Brian Callahan. That is the right call, in my opinion. He was absolutely awful. He was making Cam Ward, who I think has shown a lot of promise this year. You'll not find me dunking on Cam Ward at all. I think he's looked genuinely pretty good. But he's made him also look worse than he should be looking right now. I think he's scared of the pressure that he's facing. I think he doesn't trust his offensive line. He's not trusting his receivers to get open. I think this pick kind of has to be offensive line to protect Cam Ward. And I do think that it's a little bit early, but ultimately the investment that you have, if you take an offensive lineman, you will get back tenfold in getting a better player out of the first overall pick from last year in Cam Ward. So I think the Titans should, in this scenario, take Spencer Fano. It is what I would do as well, because I think he's the best offensive tackle in this draft. And I don't really think it's close either. I think he's the one guy that you can very comfortably say is a tackle and not a guard. I think that, yes, the whole tackle class have taken their licks this year, Fano notwithstanding, but he looked dominant last year. I'm going to trust that tape, as I will do for quite a few other guys that I'm going to take in this top 10, spoiler alert. But he's got good movement skills. He's a good athlete, quick, fluid, glides in pass pro, truly glides. He's got that ability where if you're trying to use speed around the edge with him, good luck to you, because he just moves that well. Good finisher in the run game. I think he needs to still put on a bit of weight. I think he needs to get be stronger, basically have better play strength. And look, he wears a number in the 50s. Offensive linemen that wear numbers in the 50s just have extra aura. I don't make the rules, but they really do. The Bengals, again, this should be offensive line. I think it would almost be negligent to not come out of the first round without an offensive lineman. If this was the real draft and how it was playing out, I might trade down if I'm the Bengals. Here, though, no trades, and I am not reaching on a guard. I think the Bengals are not good enough as a team to reach on a guard. Yes, Joe Burrow is out maybe for the season. We still don't know at this point. And you need to invest in the offensive line, but I feel like you've got to go down the veteran free agent market instead of trying to swing on the draft, because it is hard to find good offensive linemen in the draft, especially in a weaker offensive line class. I'm then going to look to the other side of the trenches here for the Bengals, and I am looking at Peter Woods from Clemson. Now, he is not playing well in 2025. Clemson are not playing well in 2025. For any of you that don't follow the sport, they were, for many people's preseason national championship winners, probably mine as well. Not that I put that out publicly, but if I'm being honest, I would have picked them to win the Natty. And they've fallen off a cliff. He's only got an 11% pass rush win rate this year. He kind of only has, I say only, he is a defensive tackle. It is harder to get pressures there. 9 pressures and 2 sacks. He didn't have a sack until this week against Boston College, where he had 2. So a good statistical turnaround from him to get an actual sack on the board. He has the potential, though, to be a defensive game wrecker in the mold of a Quinnen Williams, let's say. Someone that you could kind of build a defense around. And the Bengals' defense is terrible. Yes, their offensive line is terrible, and that definitely needs addressing. But looking at the board and how it's fallen, I think Peter Woods is the cleverer, more clever, smarter, long-term play here for the Bengals. The Las Vegas Raiders, very disappointed by their season. As a Geno Smith stan, I am horrified. It is not good, man. It is not good in Las Vegas. I had such high expectations. It's quite disappointing to see. Very disappointing to see. But we move. Am I going to draft a quarterback for them here? No. I think it's not worth it. And I think that Geno can come good. I'm going to trust that. I'm going to go, though, with a player that I had not had ranked in my preseason rankings, and who I think is one of the best players in college football right now. And I think that's Arvell Reese from Ohio State. Arvell Reese is absolutely cooking right now. One of the hottest players in college football with a bullet. He is playing out of his goddamn mind. He had 4 pressures and 2 sacks against Illinois as a off-ball linebacker edge hybrid kind of player. He is so strong, he is so fast, he is so physical, and he just has this mean speed to power move. And if anything translates from the college level to the NFL level, it is speed to power. Just ask Jared Verse. That's going to play in the NFL. He has that power profile, which is so important for his projection to the NFL. He is a very good pass rusher for an off-ball linebacker by trade. He is consistently, against Illinois, he was consistently moving 310-pound offensive linemen like they weren't even really there. He has 16 pressures and 6 sacks from only 58 pass rushing snaps. That is absolutely insane. I know that we're very quick to give player comps and can be very reactionary and aiming for the stars with these player comps. And I critique that. However, a player comp that I'm hesitant but willing to give for Arvell Reese is Micah Parsons. That he has that off-ball linebacker, maybe converting to edge profile, insanely athletic, strong. He might not be as good as that, don't get me wrong, but he has some of that to him. If you squint your eyes, he has some Micah Parsons to his game. And a defensive coach like Todd Bowles or like Pete Carroll would be licking their lips to get someone like Arvell Reese. My God. The New York Giants at 9. So Cam Scatterby and Jackson Dart have made this team semi-watchable by, communicating like dinosaurs and banging their heads together during interviews. And in the wake of Malik Nabers' injury, that is so important for this team. And it's incredibly important for Brian Dable and his job security. Wan'Dale Robinson is playing well at the moment, but I think that Wan'Dale Robinson is better suited to being a wide receiver 3. Obviously, he's now been promoted to wide receiver 1 because of Malik Nabers. But if Wan'Dale Robinson is your 2, I think you need another wide receiver 2. So who is going to be the new wide receiver 2 in New York, you ask? Well, in my opinion, one of the most improved players in college football this year is Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State. He is a deep threat, perimeter, ex-wide receiver. He is, imagine a trimmer Nico Collins. Doesn't have that strength to him, but has that kind of height and can glide for that height. He has a really good ability to get open deep down the field. It is not the same as creating separation at the line of scrimmage. When you're deep down the field, you've got to put an extra move on the defensive back. You've got to set your routes up differently. And to have that ability to get open deep is so, so valuable for an offense, especially one with Jackson Dart, especially one where you don't really have that vertical threat. Yes, Malik Neighbors can be, and he's a do-it-all wide receiver one. He can do whatever you need him to do. But Neighbors is also kind of better suited, I think, to being that underneath, intermediate, shiftier, in-breaking wide receiver. And if you have Arvell Reese running deep, what would have been Jalen Hyatt's role years ago, Arvell Reese, if you have Carnell Tate running deep down the field like what would have been Jalen Hyatt's role years ago, then I think that offense is looking so much better. And when Wan'Dale Robinson is your 3, you've got a really damn good wide receiver core there, in my opinion. So we're going to go with Carnell Tate for the Giants. And then with the final pick in this top 10 mock draft, remember, if you've enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe, leave a like. What would you have done in all of these positions, in all of these picks? We have the Arizona Cardinals. This team has now lost 4 on the bounce to be 2-1. That is not where you want to be. Do they look to trade Kyler Murray? That pairing seems like it's coming to the end of the road, I think. Be interesting to see if Gannon stays, if they end up picking in the top 10. Again, had quite a lot of draft picks. He had 2 a few years ago. Darius Robinson is absolutely nothing. They've invested quite heavily in the defense. That still has holes in it. The offense is still underwhelming. I don't really know. I want to see the receipts for the Cardinals. I don't really know where they've spent these draft picks because they don't like a team that has that much talent, to be honest with you. They have wide receivers. They've got Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm a big Michael Wilson believer. They've got Trey McBride as basically a wide receiver 1 in his own right. I'm not going wide receiver here for them. You could obviously go with Caleb Downs, who's on the board. Issue with Caleb Downs is he's a safety. How early is he going to go? I think he's probably, pound for pound, the most talented player in this class. But are you going to draft him in the top 10 as a safety? And especially for the Cardinals, when you've got Budda Baker, who is kind of my comp for Caleb Downs, is Budda Baker. And you've got Dadrian Taylor-Demison, who, look, yeah, you can upgrade. But are you going to draft Caleb Downs as safety when you've got 2 safeties and are picking inside the top 10? I don't think so. I love Will Johnson, but I'm not sold on Max Melton as the CB1. So I'm going to pick here, in my opinion, the best healthy draft-eligible cornerback in Mansour Delane from LSU. He has been fantastic through the first 7 weeks of the college football season. He has looked almost flawless as a lockdown press man corner. He's had 22 targets come his way. He's only allowed 6 catches for 77 yards and 4 pass breakups. And by the way, 44 of those 77 yards came against Ole Miss on 2 receptions. That's the nature of cornerback. It's up, it's down, it's volatile. It's a hard position to consistently play well at, just ask Sauce Gardner. But I do think that Mansour Delane is worth a top 10 pick. I think he is the best healthy cornerback in this draft. German McCoy, if he plays this year, especially if Tennessee make the playoffs, he could unseat this title from Delane. But I think that if you have Jermaine Johnson and Mansour Delane as your cornerback duo, that is a really, really strong cornerback duo that maybe the Cardinals can finally do something. I don't think you're drafting a quarterback here. I don't think you're drafting a wide receiver here. You could draft Francis Mauigoa, but I'm going to go for the talent in Mansour Delane and hope that those guys can kind of carry me to a playoff appearance, ideally. So that is my top 10. At 1, the Jets took Fernando Mendoza. At 2, the Browns took Lenoris Sellers. 3, the Ravens took Ruben Bain Jr. 4, the Dolphins took Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver from Arizona. At 5, the Saints took Mekhi Lemon, the wide receiver from USC. At 6, the Titans took Spencer Farner, the offensive tackle, to help protect Cam Ward. At 7, the Bengals took Peter Woods to try and bolster that defensive line. At 8, the Raiders took Arvell Reese, the linebacker from Ohio State. He's going to be a my guy all draft season, so brace yourself for that. At 9, the Giants took Carnell Tate, the next wide receiver from Ohio State. I faded Emeka Egbuka. I am not going to fade Carnell Tate. At 10, the Cardinals took Mansour Delane. And that wraps up our top 10. But as I said, let me know in the comments, what would you do with all these picks? Did I miss someone out? Has someone gone too early? Has someone gone too late? I want to hear all your thoughts and more in the comments below. Remember, leave a like, make sure you subscribe to not miss out on any draft content. But I've been your host, Dom Corbs. This has been Corbs NFL. I'll see you on the next video.